Well, welcome to the wonderful world of bourbon. This is episode 6, and we're going to make this intro really quick this time. We do have a short bourbon haul. We got 5 or 6 bottles. A couple of them were gifted to us, and a couple of them have an interesting past. We got a bourbon review of the Castle and Key Wheated Cask Strength, and it might surprise you. On our bourbon recon, we did get around to a couple shops. It's not real long, but we do want to show you a few of the things we're seeing. And then on our special feature is another game between me and Daniel we're calling Potluck Bourbon, where we drink bourbon from our subscribers. Yeah, these are samples, and we have to guess which ones are best. And then our bourbon of the week, I won't let you know what that is until we get there. Viewer comments is back. We're going to read viewer comments. And then, of course, Mike's Soapbox. We always end the show with Mike's Soapbox. So welcome to the wonderful world of bourbon. Well, now for this week's, or maybe the past 2 weeks, bourbon haul. It's not big, but we do have some interesting bottles with some interesting stories. First up, 13th Colony came out with this 113 proof straight bourbon whiskey finished in maple wood spirals. I'm told it is a limited release, so when I saw it, I missed out on so many 13th Colonies. I saw this, or actually someone told me where it was, in a bottle shop, and we went ahead and picked that up. I have not opened it yet. I have no idea, but you know I am a fan of Widow Jane Decadence, which is finished in maple syrup barrels. This is maple wood spirals, so we'll see if we like it as much. Next up, a kind of a surprise. I never see the Larceny, this is the Larceny 92, in a private single barrel. You always see the cask strengths and then of course the batches that Larceny releases, the A, B, and C, but to find their 92 in a single barrel. And if you don't know about the single barrel program that Elijah Craig and Larceny have, they simply pick single barrels of their 92 or 94 strength bourbons and put it out there. And they're wonderful. I love the Elijah Craig 94 in the single barrel. And I bought this because I believe I'll love this just as much. In fact, I've done a review of this and you should watch that. Do I actually think that the private single barrel is worth a few bucks more over the standard Larceny 92. And next up, a gifted bottle. Gifted not from a subscriber, but gifted from the distillery. I met the regional sales managers for Jeff the Creed recently. This is their red, white, and blue bourbon. Red, white, and blue corn bourbon. So it's really a 5-grain when you consider there's 3 corns, there's a rye, and a malted barley. And we've done a review on that. It's on the channel now. Next up, Redwood Empire Pipe Dream 101. Now this was something that's fairly new, at least in the Georgia market, where they've had the white label Pipe Dream out for I think it's maybe their first bourbon. And they've got the cask strength, but now they've come out with the 101. And I will tell you, don't discount this bourbon because it's 101. It is delicious, and we have a review of that. What else did we find? Another bottle that was gifted to me. This time it was gifted to me by a member of the Appalachian Bourbon Society. Row 94. Now, if you don't know what Row 94 is, that's from Dirk Bentley, the country singer. He's got his own brand of whiskey. I understand that this whiskey is from Green River, so if you're a Green River fan, you should like this bourbon whiskey, and even better, I got a signed bottle, so I'm not opening up this one. I'm going to have to find another one to open. But the Row 94 is what we got. And last but not least, I was very happy to get this as part of a bundle package that I bought. Weller Foolproof. I've been looking to expand my Weller line for some time. I did not have a Foolproof. I do know what it tastes like, so I was happy to get a bottle of that. So not too bad, not big, but some quality whiskey here. So this is our bourbon haul for episode 6. Well, tonight we're reviewing this Castle & Key cask strength wheated bourbon, 105.8 proof. Must be a lower entry proof. Well, you probably remember that I've seen this several times and made comments about it in my bourbon recon and maybe a couple of bourbon hunts. So finally, I was at one of my favorite bottle shops in Marietta today and decided I'm going to go ahead and get it because I'm very interested. I've heard some good things about this cask strength wheated. I know that Castle & Key has got, not a great name with some. I've never tried Castle & Key, so I'm going to give an honest review. This is batch 1. It is 7 years old. It was blended in 2024, and they call it a small batch cask strength Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey. I don't know what the mash bill is, but if I find that, I'll put it on the bottom of the screen now. So, it's a beautiful bottle. I mean, almost decanterish with the labeling and the kind of fluted glass. And, I mean, that's a heavy topper on it. Very nice. Even if you didn't like it, it'd make a great infinity bottle. Very pretty. So let's put it off to the side. Availability. Let's start this clock for 5 minutes. Availability. I've seen this in several locations, and those locations being ones that carry the Castle & Key. I would say at least half the time I'm seeing the standard Castle & Key. I'm seeing this, I don't know if it's red or black. Could be brown. I'm partially colorblind. I'm seeing this about half the time if I see the other Castle & Key. So it's out there. So availability, I would say good, not great. I don't think it's been out a long time. Aroma. Well, you definitely get that wheat. I know some people call it a funk. To me, it's that Pop-Tart aroma that I get wheat. And I am getting some, I'd say medium fruits. And, you know, I don't get, I get more brown sugar, vanilla, cinnamon out of these wheated bourbons than I do maple or molasses out of standard bourbons. But it has a nice aroma. It's not real potent, not real predominant, but it's nice. Reminds me of any number of wheated bourbons that I have right now behind me. Cheers. That's good. It's got that sweet wheat in the aroma comes across. And I'm definitely getting, I would say, like strawberry, raspberry kind of fruits with it. It's a good sweetness, but not too sweet. The spices are a little lower than I expected. In other words, it wasn't some really hitch-in-the-face baking spices or pepper on the front. Mild to medium spices on the front end. Let's take another sip. Now on the second sip, I'm getting more pepper. Definitely more spices. It's not my first bourbon of the day, but for whatever reason, the first sip, I didn't really pick it up. The second sip, I am getting more spices. Definitely, though, that sweet wheat with the medium fruits and cinnamon, vanilla, maybe a hint of nutmeg. You know, good baking spices. This is definitely a strawberry Pop-Tart. I know I make a lot of comparisons to Pop-Tarts, but when I smell that wheat from the days when I was a kid when we had Pop-Tarts. And those were a real treat for us. You know, you had Pop-Tart instead of cereal. Your mom really liked you that morning. And the smell and the taste, fruit Pop-Tarts, the uncoated kind. None of that crappy white sugar mess on the top. Plain Pop-Tarts with fruit filling, warm. Brings back the days. If you're not a Pop-Tart fan, well, just say it's pastry. This reminds me of a wheat pastry, a fruit wheat pastry. It's got a perfect level of sweetness. You know, some they go too much and some's not enough, and some I complain like I wish it could be sweeter. And other ones, you know, even for me, sometimes like, well, the sweetness takes over. This has got a fantastic balance. It's a good proof. The balance of there's really not much savory there, but the balance of sweetness to wheatness to fruitiness, all kind of level. I'm impressed. One more sip. I paid, I don't know, $55-ish. We'll put the actual price on the bottom of the screen. I get discounts at some of my shops because I'm a loyal customer, but we'll put the list price of what it was before any discounts on the bottom of the screen and before tax, because tax varies from state to state. So you know exactly what you should pay for it in this area. On the finish, it's not a long finish, but long enough that dried fruit and wheat comes across. Nothing bitter. Not really getting much in the way of leather or oak. No tobacco. It's just kind of dried fruit with some mild baking spices that stays with you for a little while. Medium finish, I would say. So value. Well, I just told you what the price was. I think the value for a cask strength wheated bourbon, and to me, they must use a lower entry proof. At 105, call it 106 proof, that's perfect for me. That's right in my wheelhouse. So value, I would say it's a very good value. Not a great value, a very good value. So it all comes down to my recommendation. Is this a buy or a pass? This is a solid buy. Even if you've not liked Castle and Key in the past, and this is my first Castle and Key, this cask strength wheated bourbon is the Pop-Tart Jam. That's right, it's the Pop-Tart Jam. And I say, if you like wheated bourbon, I think you'll like this Castle and Key. So please like this video, comment, and share. And if you've had this Castle and Key, not none of the other ones because I haven't tasted it, tell me what you think of this cask strength wheated bourbon. I think it's pretty damn good. So, as always, please drink responsibly, never drink and drive, and we'll see you next time. We're at Uncle Jack's Wine and Spirits, probably on the south side of Canton, but I believe this is still Canton, close to Holly Springs. So let's go inside and see what kind of new tasty bourbons and whiskeys they have.
When I get a sugar plate, I'm just literally just right up the sugar plate. You know where Little River Farms is?
And look at that. All of their store picks are on sale for $34.99. And when you walk in the store, wine is to your right, beer in the back, and spirits and bourbon and whiskeys to your left.
Knock me off the ladder.
So welcome to Uncle Jack's Bourbon Aisle. Let's get started. Okay, first up, we're going to start at the beginning of the aisle here. We got our barrel and our new riff. In Colorado, we tried that Colorado 291. It was good. I want to try some other ones to see if there's other varieties I like better. Angel's Envy. And of course, you can't go wrong with the Pursuit United. Nice selection of Fiddler there. Horse Soldier and Traveler. Coming down here, one of the best deals on the planet has always been that James E. Pepper Barrel Proof. Davies County, I don't see that very often. And Yellowstone. And if you've never had the Four Roses 10 recipe tasting experience, you should get one. It really is a unique experience into the different flavors of Four Roses. And what a nice selection of Whistle Pig they have, including my current favorite, the Snout to Tail. Here's Calumet, the 8, the small batch, the 15, and the 16. All your Michter's fans. And look at all the Knob Creek they got. And Laws. I think that is an underrated bourbon. They make good whiskey. And of course you can't go wrong with Old Forester. Just about any Old Forester is good whiskey. Good bourbon. There's our Heaven's Door. High West. Here's our George Dickel. Including this Leopold Brothers variety. Now that I'm very interested in. Coming down here, J.W. Kelly and Silas Jones. And for your Chattanooga fans, we got the Cask Strength, the 91, and the Bottle and Bond. And 13th Colony, Cave Hill, Heaven Hill, Dexter, and a local distillery, Big Creek. I've actually been out there. They make some good whiskey. Traverse. And get down on the bottom shelf, because people are asking me to see what's on the bottom shelf. There you go. Nice selection of Bardstown, Uncle Nearest, our Jefferson fans, Ben Holiday. Well, you know how I feel about Ben Holiday. Nice collection of 1792. As we come down here, Old Fourth and Legends, both local distilleries. Blue Note. That is one of the most underrated toasted French oak bourbons on the planet, if you ask me. Boondocks. Some Widow Jane. Wild Turkey. And Russell's, of course. Bullet. For your Larceny fans, Milam and Green. And some got flavored whiskeys and Jesse James on the bottom here. More Wild Turkey, Four Roses. Maker's Mark. And a good selection of Benchmark. Look at all the different ones there. Probably one of the best values of anything coming out of Buffalo Trace is their Benchmark line. Okay, now we're getting to, it says American whiskey, so we've got rye, bourbons, maybe a few single malts in here. Some names you've probably never heard of, like the R.M. Rose. But I'll tell you, R.M. Rose is good whiskey. And then Williams back into some flavors. And some more flavored whiskeys on the bottom. Wilderness Trail and Buzzard's Roost. And Woodinville. You know, I really need to go back to Woodinville. I've not found one that I'm really in love with yet. But I've only had one of them. I need to go back and try some of the other Woodinvilles. Evan Williams and Jim Beam. And of course, Elijah Craig and Woodinville. Can't go wrong with anything on that shelf. Jack Daniels, of course. The single barrel select. To me, one of the best values of Jack Daniels is that single barrel select right there for $52.99. A lot of Jim Beam flavored stuff. I like Jim Beam, but I'm just not a fan of flavored whiskey. Very Old Barton. I actually have heard that Very Old Barton's pretty good. And up on the top, I can barely reach it. We got the McLaren and the Jim Beam Double Oak and Rye Pre-Prohibition. The end cap, we got some Sagamore Spirit Rye, Larceny, Angel's Envy. Looks like the Angel's Envy is on sale. And look at this, $17.92. $30.99. What a deal that is. A Rough Rider, I think that was a store pick. Traveler. More Wilderness Trail, also on sale. You can't go wrong with the Woodford Reserve Double Oak. And of course, what everybody likes to see in the bottle shop is show me the allocated. Well, we hope you liked our tour of Uncle Jack's Wine and Spirits over here in South Canton, just north of Holly Springs. If you're in the area, come by and see them. They're a great bunch of guys, and they've got a nice little store in a tucked away little location. See you next time on Bourbon Hunt. Welcome to a new game that we're trying out, the wonderful world of bourbon today. We're calling this Potluck Bourbon. I have no idea if this is going to be any fun or not, but we thought, if Daniel did such a good job last time of being a guinea pig, we thought we'd make him a guinea pig again. But this time we're both in the hot seat because Jamie has 12 cards that represent 12 samples from our friend Dave Vogelsang, and we have no idea what they are. One of the samples, though, is a joker. It's a rye whiskey, but the game's going to go like this. We each get to pick 2 cards, and we try to figure out what we're drinking, what we like, and if we get the joker, we can't trade it, but if we do have one we don't like and it's not a joker, we can trade it to Jamie for another one, and hopefully we're not trading away something like a George T. Stagg, because Dave sends nothing but top shelf samples, so we're going to be sampling, and most of these things are things I've never tasted. So
awesome.
This is kind of cool because we're going to probably poo-poo something that's like way up there, and I'm going to look like an idiot. He's going to look like the smart one for sure. So
if you want to.
So let's get right to it. Jamie, do you have the cards?
I do.
All right, I'll let you go first. Go ahead and pick 2 cards out of there, and then let. Now, show your cards to Jamie. Don't show them to me, so she can pick. So she can pour her samples. You got that?
Oh, thank you. Your hand was covered.
Oh, too bad this isn't poker. I'd be doing really good. You got that? And you don't have to tell me. Now, I haven't memorized what these ones are, but the cards, the face cards, do link to bottle tops, so she knows which ones to pour.
You got the slight advantage over me because you at least know what's in the samples over there.
I know. You think that I have that good a memory, and I don't. Yeah, you can take this. So the idea was that Dave sends me a lot of samples, and he sent me some really nice samples recently, and these are older samples, so I wanted to go ahead and use them in a show. So I thought, like, potluck, let's just take what we can get from it, and I'm sure there's going to be some tasty bourbon. So,
Got me curious for sure.
when we come right back, Jamie will have us set up, and we'll see if we want to do some trades. We'll be right back. All right, we're back. Daniel's lovely assistant, Jamie, has poured these ones. All we know is what card it's associated with. I have no idea what they were, because when I actually labeled the top of the bottles, I didn't even bother looking at it. I just took a pen and labeled it and put it back in the box. So the only one that we were sure about was the Joker. Did you get the Joker?
I did not.
Oh, so Joker's not in play, so this was going to be interesting. So what we want to do is we want to, it doesn't matter which one you left or right. If you want to keep both of them, you can keep them. If you want to trade one, the Jamie will come back and give you a new card. But then you're stuck with it, whatever it is, including the Joker.
So we get to taste before we trade?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
You can taste and smell and decide if you want to keep these two or you want to trade one for something else. And then, in the end, simple, which one do you like better?
Yeah.
Oh, that one's really nutty. And we all have different ones. There's no duplicates.
I got you.
What you have is unique.
The nose
You and
on
I
this
are
one
not sharing anything.
is much better than that one. I'm not saying that was a bad nose, but this one's just definitely better.
This one, I don't like the nose on this one at all. This one is, I'm not a fan of that one at all. It's probably the most expensive one. I'm not a fan of that one at all.
So you're trading it out?
I'm going to trade, yeah, I think so.
Oh goodness, the first trade.
All right, I'm gonna trade this. Jamie, I'm trading in the Jack of Clubs. If you'll show me that you went first. And I'm trading it for the King of Spades.
Jack?
I'm sorry, Jack of Spades. I can't read worth a shit. Jack of Spades. I'm going to go ahead and turn mine over since we know there's no jokers here.
Yeah.
I've got a Jack of Diamonds and a Jack of Spades. Oh, you got an ace already.
Yeah.
Too bad it's not poker. You'd be winning.
I would.
Although I've got a pair.
Yes.
So you're trading one too.
Yes, I am going to trade
Well, when she
my
comes
Queen
back,
of
we'll-
Spades.
So we both are like, nah, I'm not keeping that one. Technical difficulty. Apparently a card didn't represent bourbon that was in the box. So I'm picking another card.
Would you like me to go ahead and select one too? Oh gosh.
So I've got the Queen of Clubs. If you'll pour me the Queen of Clubs.
Look.
Oh no, he got the Joker. But you might like it.
I might. It's a rye. I've been enjoying some ryes lately,
Yeah,
so
you
I might be.
got the rye.
It might be right up my alley.
I thought one of us would get the Joker in
Yeah,
the pool, but
I
you got it
grabbed
you traded it. So
Yeah.
you're stuck with that being the best bourbon you have. Even if you like the rye, that's the best bourbon you have.
It's not too bad, I will say that.
Joker?
Joker, thank you.
All right, Queen of Clubs. That certainly smells better than the one I traded.
I love this nose.
We'll get that technical issue worked out on the next show. You just can't pay for quality help these days. Me. That actually smells pretty good.
Oh, wow.
I'm going to go ahead and push mine forward. One that stays is my favorite. Now, even though you only have one bourbon.
I only have one, so I guess that one's going forward.
Oh, you actually like the rye better. We're kicking you off the island.
Oh, that's not the better one? Okay, hold on.
Yeah, the better one's the one you keep. But you like the rye.
I love the rye. It's really
Okay.
good. But being this is a bourbon segment, I was choosing the bourbon over the rye.
Jamie, would you tell us first, what was the card, the glass that Daniel traded in? What was the name of what he traded in? It should be one you've opened. Would you bring it to us?
I sure will.
So this is the one that Old Forester Single Barrel Bourbon Whiskey Warehouse K Floor 6 100 proof. That's the one.
That's a black label Old Forester.
That's the one you didn't want.
Man.
That's probably worse for me.
Those are usually pretty good.
Can you tell me the one that I traded in?
What card was it?
Jack of Clubs.
Jack of Clubs.
Jack of Clubs.
It's probably going to get worse. Okay, well, I have to admit, I've never had this before. Don Michael Black Whiskey Single Barrel distilled in Peru.
Oh, interesting.
110.2 proof. Now, I know that Dave is a fan of the Don Michael. I've never had any of the Don Michael before. It really was a different profile.
I have even heard of that one.
All right, well, I'll go first on this. Jack of Diamonds. What one that I said was second place? Glens Creek. Not sure I've had a Glens. Maybe I had a Glens Creek before. Glens Creek Distillery Bourbon Whiskey.
That's OCD number 5.
What does that mean?
That's pretty popular whiskey if
Really?
you're watching the
104.4 proof. So that was I liked it. It was my second favorite. I didn't trade it in, thank God.
There you go.
But I think I'll revisit that one. So that was my second place. Daniel got the Joker, and I know this is a good rye whiskey. Which rye whiskey did he get hit with? I'll let you read it.
So this is Corbin Cash 1917 Merced Rye Barrel Proof 123 proof. I enjoyed this. This was really good. I've not had anything from Corbin Cash.
Well, you get to keep that one since that was you get to keep. You don't get to keep the trade-ins, but you get to keep the ones you kept. So you can keep that one and enjoy it.
That was really good.
All right, so we'll go back to me. My favorite was the Queen of Clubs. What was that, Jamie? Old Carter. I like Old Carter. Old Carter Bourbon Barrel Strength Batch 15, 117 proof. The 3 was the third batch of the bottles he sent me. I've been numbering that. Old Carter. I'm a fan of Old Carter. It's usually a little pricey for me, so I don't have any bottles, but I like that. I'll enjoy the crap out of that. Thank you, Dave. So I picked the Old Carter, which I don't know. I still think I probably picked the more popular of the two. What did Daniel pick as his favorite?
Well, I didn't have much choice.
You didn't have much choice since you drew that Joker.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll let you read it.
So this is the Backbone Bourbon Anniversary Edition Decade Down Uncut Bourbon Whiskey, 110 proof. This was really good as well.
I don't know anything about that particular brand. Do you?
I've heard of Backbone. I haven't had anything from them.
I don't think they're down. I've never seen that in Georgia.
No.
The Old Carter you can get.
Yes.
It's expensive, but you can get it. I've never seen a Backbone.
I've never seen the Corbin Cash here in Georgia either.
So we're drinking a lot of stuff that we can't go out and buy.
Yeah.
Well, I can go out and buy this Old Carter. I don't know about you, but you get to keep it.
I'll enjoy it. This was really, really good. So thank you, Dave, for the 2 samples.
Yeah, well, and we have more samples from Dave Vogelsand, so we plan on doing this again, another Potluck Bourbon, of course, unless you get that Joker and you get a rye whiskey. But he likes rye. So.
I was going to say, I really enjoyed the rye better than the bourbon here, but since we're doing a bourbon segment, I was kind of stuck choosing the bourbon. But that rye is really, really good.
Well, we appreciate you coming and watching another special feature of the wonderful world of bourbon. And we'll be back next episode with we're going to do another Name That Bourbon, aren't we?
Yeah.
You're going to put me on.
It's your turn to get in the hot seat.
You're going to put me on the spot, put me in the hot seat. So we'll see you next time on Name That Bourbon. And if you like this, we'll bring it back for another show. So as always, please drink responsibly, never drink and drive, And I like what I ended up with. How about you?
Yeah, it's really good.
You're
It
probably
really
going to
is.
drink them both, aren't you?
I didn't have a bad one in the bunch, honestly.
Well, that first one I didn't care for, but you know that's just me. So come back next time. Cheers, and
Keep it neat.
there you go. Well, now it's time for our bourbon of the week. You know, sometimes the bourbon of the week is what I'm currently drinking. Something I just really think is a great bourbon, and I want to share that information with you. Other times, it's a bourbon I've just reviewed and like it knocked my socks off, and I want to let you know it just like it's my bourbon of the week because I know I'm going to be drinking it for the next week. And other times, it's a bourbon from a past show that I may have reviewed and just like, wow, it's my favorite bourbon this week. And that's what this one is. It's from a past show. In fact, it's from episode 5. And what is that bourbon? That bourbon is Redwood Empire Pipe Dream 101. Now, this is kind of like their white label or their dark label, the Redwood Empire, but it's 101 proof. And it is the Release 001. I did a review of it on the last episode, and I think it's wonderful. Price point, flavor, you just can't go wrong with this Pipe Dream 101, and it should now be readily available. You should be able to find it. So, Redwood Empire Pipe Dream 101 is our bourbon of the week. Well, now it's time for viewer comments where I read some of your comments and answer a few of them back. We have a lot of comments we didn't have any comments, reading any comments last time, so I've got a lot to go through, but we're going to sail right through them. We had a lot of comments on our which under $30 budget bourbon would I choose, including the short that came along with it. A lot of people were telling me what their favorites were. Dave Hackfield says, hard to beat the Early Times Bottled and Bond, and I would agree, David. That is a wonderful bourbon whiskey in the budget market. Beard Zone says, I love Early Times Bottled and Bond, another Early Times fan. And Jeff Rubin says, for me, best tasting is the 100 proof Cooper's Craft. I would agree. I love the Cooper's Craft, been a fan for a long time, but it didn't make my under 30 here. I always see it slightly over 30, so I had to pick what I had to go with, but Cooper's Craft, if it had been $2 lower, it would have made the cut. Could have won, but I don't know. Early Times and Cooper's Craft, there's a lot of similar flavors going on there. On our benchmark bourbon tasted and rated, we had Joseph Shanklin say, just having a pour of the Old Forester 100 with you all. Cheers. Well, thanks. On our Wonderful World of Bourbon episode 5, which would have been the one previous to this, we had a few comments. Beard Zone says, great show. I always look forward to the next one, and thank you for sticking to bourbon and not going abroad. He's talking about Mike's Soapbox, where we said we're doubling, or I said I'm doubling down on bourbon and American whiskey. And even though other channels are moving into other spirits, we're not. We're staying with what we started, bourbon and American whiskey. Michael Bortner says, cheers, great show. Thank you, Michael. And Hamilton RB says, hopefully the Canada-USA tariff nonsense gets worked out soon and we can get bourbon back on our shelves again. I hope so for you, Hamilton. And on our Name That Bourbon, which was a segment of that last show, Beardstone says, I love this segment. Well, we do too. We had a lot of fun doing that. Let's see, what else do we have here? Oh, which Jeff the Creed whiskey will we choose? Jeff the Creed's got a lot of hit and miss with people out there. I think you either love it or hate it. I had one that I actually hated, and now it's opened up and I like it a lot better. In fact, it did very well in the blind. And then one I thought I would love, I hate it. So, maybe that gets better. But if you haven't watched that episode, it's worth watching. Dave Vogelsen says, I participated in a Patreon blind, and one of the samples was so bad that everyone voted it last, and Drain poured the remaining amount. Apparently it was a Jeff the Creed. I'd be curious which one it was, because I had one that I really liked, and now I've changed my mind, and then one I thought I liked, I don't like. But on Fresh Crack Friday with John J. Bowman, that's that new segment we're doing with Daniel and Jamie. We got several comments here. Net Bogey says, mine is pretty average at best, not one that I go back to much. Well, John J. Bowman is not a high proof bourbon. You'd have to go to the A. Smith version of that. They're cask strength. But I love John J. Bowman. I think I have a lot of people that would agree with me on that one. Think Twice says this is a real good 100 proofer. And Dave V says, John J. Bowman's single barrel is so good, I pick one up whenever I run into it around MSRP. And that's the trick. Don't overpay for the John J. Bowman. It may be hard to find only because it sells out quickly. I don't see it as an allocated in North Georgia. I just see when it hits the shelf that there's usually, it's not like one per buy. No, it just cleans off. People know how good it is, and it's gone. On review of the Silver Springs Sweet Rye, a rye whiskey I actually enjoy, was happy to find that. Dave V says, I am not a big rye guy, but have been trying more and more. And Dave, you should try that Silver Springs, and if you don't have it, let me know and I'll send you a sample. On our Bourbon Hunt at TNT package, we had several comments. Appalachian Gold says, I would have grabbed that Maker's 46 Slam Dunk. Those are fun to find. Steve Jackson says, great selection. Do you remember how much the old rip was? I couldn't really tell. Steve, I went back and looked at that, and I couldn't read the label. It was just outside of camera. You're probably talking about the 10-year. I don't have an answer for you on that one. They are at market price, as they say. So, yeah, the price is up there. Keith Smith says, thanks for the extra interview footage of Crafty Staves. That's the guy that makes the whiskey barrels, the whiskey barrel furniture. I have a couple of his Fractal Burns cigar products, and nice to put a name, face, and story with it. If you haven't seen that video, we kind of like, this guy came in, he knew I was going to be there, and we started talking about whiskey furniture. So we did a whole little kind of mini segment that's in that Bourbon Hunt number 36 at TNT package. If you didn't see that bottle signing at the Sprayberry Bottle Shop, James Knox says, do they still have any Black Label Bell Mead? And last time I checked, they do. Bell Mead is still delivering or still distributing to the Georgia market. Not everyone has it. Sprayberry is one of those shops that do. And I always keep a bottle of Bell Mead in my inventory. I don't really buy backups of it anymore because I can just go down to Sprayberry and get another one. But they do carry it. It was still there last time I checked, and it is one of those jewels in the rough. Oh, if you haven't watched, last but not least, and this is kind of a plug for my society or society I belong to, the Appalachian Bourbon Society, how it all began. We had a podcast with Daniel and Jamie and sat down with them. And it's very interesting how things come about when friends decide to share whiskey. And if you haven't watched it, it's great. In fact, Dave V, one of my best supporters on the channel, says, great video. Video and audio quality are fantastic. So is content and personalities. And I paid him to say that. No, I didn't pay him. Thank you, Dave, for the compliment. Well, that's all we have right now for viewer comments. Up next, I'm back on my soapbox. Well, now it's on the Mike Soapbox where I give you a piece of my mind. Not really, I'm kidding. I really don't give you, I may give you my opinion, but I don't give you a piece of my mind. But today I wanted to thank you. Thank you for watching The Wonderful World of Bourbon. This is episode 6, so hopefully you've watched all 6. If you haven't, go back and watch them in reverse order. They're even funnier that way. So This is always meant to be a limited series, kind of an experiment to see what could we do with a variety style format, something where we put in different segments and we show it once or twice a week. The goal was to try to get it to once a week, and I just couldn't do it with my busy schedule. But we're going to reimagine the wonderful world of bourbon, might make it a little bit shorter, might bring back the shows that we thought were the best of the wonderful world, and come back when we can do this even better, maybe a little bit quicker. So although this is the last wonderful world of bourbon, we haven't given up on this format. We will be coming and doing it again. Just give us a little time to work out the kinks. So, thanks again for coming along. And as always, please drink responsibly, never drink and drive, and we'll see you next time.